Right on time. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be at Horizon Church. Thank you for having me. This is like my third time here, and I don't know why. I have no idea why I'm here. I wanted to ask the staff, I go, why am I here? And I found out, this is the first Sunday in June. This is summer starting, and so we wanted to start the summer with the best speaker we could find. So the staff turned over every rock they could, and they said, we want the best speaker here on the first Sunday in June. So they found him and asked him, can you come? He says, no, I can't. I'm busy. You go, really? No, you got to come. He goes, nope, can't come. You go, wow. We can't get the best speaker, so let's find the most intelligent person we know. The guy who's just smart and will just dazzle people with his brilliance. So they found him, asked him to come. He said, can't do it, have a conflict. Can't come. I go, wow, okay. We can't find the best speaker. We can't find the most intelligent man. Let's find the best looking man we know. Church is filled with predominantly more women than men. At least the woman will pay attention. Let's find the best looking man we know. They looked all over, found the best looking man, asked him to come. He said, can't do it. I got a conflict. It's like, wow. Can't find the best speaker. Can't find the most intelligent man. Can't find the best looking man. Let's find the humblest person we know. Let's find the humblest. And so that's why I'm here today. I couldn't turn him down 4 times in a row. I just couldn't do it. Okay? But it's great to be here. One of my wife's favorite shows, it's not on anymore. Anybody remember the show West Wing? Yeah, that's West Wing? Yeah. So, she loved that show. And, I watched the last episode, in one of the season's finale one year, and it was, Josiah Bartlett was the president. And he was having a rough time. He just got news that his secretary died when she was hit by a drunk driver. And then right after that, he had the impending diagnosis, devastating diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. And he was angry. He was real angry at life's turbulent and sometimes seemingly twisted ways. And so he went to the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. after his secretary's funeral. And he was going to pray to God. But his prayer doesn't begin, Our Father who art in heaven. Instead, he says this raw prayer. He curses God and calls him a feckless thug. And then the rest of his prayer was in Latin. I think it was that way so they wouldn't call the station about what he was about to pray. But I found out what the translation was in Latin, and here was his prayer. Am I really to believe that these are acts of a loving God, a just God, a wise God, to blank with your punishments? I was your servant here on earth. I spread your word and I did your work to blank with your punishments and to blank with you. And the scene ends with Bartlett in a gesture of contempt crushing a cigarette butt on the floor of the cathedral. Have you ever felt that way towards God? Have you ever felt that way towards God? If God is so loving, and God is so kind, and God is supposed to be so good, why is my life so hard? I saw a cartoon the other day. It was the first frame was just an egg. Then all of a sudden the chicken emerges from the egg, and he looks forward, and then he looks left, and then he looks right, and then he looks behind him, and then the last thing is the chicken wanting to get back in the egg again. Do you ever feel like that? It's like everywhere you look, there's problems. Everywhere you go. Work, there's problems. My marriage got problems. My kids are out of control. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And God seems at best silent. At best silent. At best. But if he cared at all, why is my life just seemingly twisting in the wind. And so I'm glad you're here today. Welcome to Horizon Church. My name's Carl Sutter. Chad has me here every once in a while just so he has job security. Okay? Yeah, it's like, I say, wow, okay, we need him. We need him bad. Okay. And so I'm here to talk about this series you're in, book by book. And Chad's assignment was this book called, I think I could say it, Habakkuk. Some people pronounce it Habakkuk. But when I was a little kid, I could never say Habakkuk. And so my mom says, it's like Habakkuk-y. Oh, I can say that. And so you'll hear me go in back and forth between Habakkuk, because I could say Habakkuk-y, or Habakkuk. Either way, it's fine. It's a little book in the Old Testament. It's called a minor prophet. There's 5 major prophets in the Bible and 12 minor prophets. Habakkuk is a minor prophet. And the distinction there is not because of the content. So don't think because he's a minor prophet. The content is part of it. It's by the size of a book. And so a major prophet are 5. They'd be like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea. Those are the big ones. And then the smaller ones that you can't pronounce. Those are the minor ones, okay? Because they're small. Habakkuk is only 3 chapters, but it's a powerful, powerful book. I think it speaks to the time. It speaks to what Bartlett was experiencing. God is not a good God, because if He's good, then why is my life twisting in the wind? Why are things so hard? Why is it that my mom has cancer? And why is it that my son is struggling so much in school? Why is that? And is God there? And so I just want to begin by saying this. I'll put this on the screen. It's this. When we face a dilemma we cannot explain, the human tendency is to blame. I wish I had time to talk about that, but Chad's got me on a real short leash. But you don't want to blame, because when you blame someone for the things you can't explain, when you blame someone for the things you can't explain, then you're giving them too much power. And you never want to give someone too much power. Never. It's my mom's fault. It's my dad. If you say it's my mom's fault, my dad's fault, my ex's fault, the boss's fault, you're giving them way too much power, and you'll never be able to get out of the dilemma that we're in because we're blaming someone. But it's our tendency. It's our tendency to blame somebody, someone's fault. Something goes wrong today here at church, it'll be my fault. Trust me, it's his new guy's fault. Then I leave town and staff feels good about themselves. But we have a tendency to blame, and so when early on in Jesus' ministry, they brought to Jesus a man that was born blind, and they say this. They take the man that was born blind, and they ask Jesus, "Hey, whose fault is it that he's born blind? Was it his mom's or his dad's? Whose fault? Someone messed up here. An innocent kid shouldn't be born blind, and now he's a man, and whose fault is it, Jesus? Who messed up here?" And Jesus said these profound words. He said, it's not because of his mom sinned or his dad sinned. He's born blind so that the works of God may be revealed in him. Oh my, did y'all hear that? When something bad happens, keep your eyes open. God's about to do something spectacular. You may be up against a dead end. You may seemingly seem that life is going nowhere. You may just have got a cancer diagnosis, or you may have got a pink slip from work. And here's what I want you to remember. The message of Habakkuk is this. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Are you all with me today, Horizon? You seem sleepy today, okay? All right? All right, I told the other church, I don't know. I pastor in Colorado where marijuana is legal, and so my church comes in there, but they have an excuse. They're high, okay? All right, I don't know why you guys are looking this way, okay? But I want you to know this today. If you're twisting in the wind, and you want to shake your fist at God because nothing in your life is working out, and you want to go back into that little egg and say, get me out of this dilemma. Here's what I want you to know. That chicken looked everywhere but where he should have looked. Front, back, to the left, and to the right. But he didn't look up. Because that's where his hope is. And that's where our hope is when life squeezes us hard. Every setback is a setup for what? Oh, that's weak. Okay, that's really weak. Okay, all right? Let's try it again, okay? Every setback is a setup for a I like that. Good. That's coming back. That's good, okay? Because some of you here look really good. But I know this. I've been around the block enough to know that some of you where you sit, life is pretty heavy. The questions and the pain are overwhelming. And I want you to know, don't give up. Keep looking up. Because somehow there's a God up there who can make our world make sense. Even when every way we try, it doesn't make sense to us. Every setback, if you have faith, if you look up, every setback is a setup for a comeback. So let's look in this great book of Habakkuk, okay? The first thing that Habakkuk starts is he starts with this dilemma is this. He looks at the situation that's going on in his country, Israel. It's a long way away from him. It's a long time ago, but the lessons that he has are very powerful right here and right now. And he comes up with this, basically, his complaint is this: life is unfair. Life is unfair. It's not right. It's not right. Life is unfair. He looks around in his country and the economy is collapsing. Productivity is declining. There's social injustice. There's food shortages. There's violence. There's a disregard. And he's saying, oh my gosh, God, I thought you were good. If you're good, why are things just falling apart, going to hell in a handbasket? Life is unfair. How many people have ever felt that in your life at least one time? Today. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, it's good. And life is unfair. It's just unfair. I don't get it. And that's Habakkuk. Habakkuk is called a prophet, which is interesting. This is a fascinating book because prophets usually speak for God to the people. This is an interesting book because Habakkuk is actually speaking to God on behalf of the people. And why is life unfair, God? Why is life unfair? I don't understand it. And God brings his answer. Habakkuk is saying, there's all this injustice. And so God brings his answer, and his answer is this. I got an answer for you. There's a country, Babylon, and it's going to come and bring justice to your country. Here's what he says in verse 6. He says, I'm raising up the Babylonians, Chaldeans. He says, they're a bitter and hasty nation which marches through. They possess dwelling places. They're a terrible and dreadful people. Their horses are swifter than leopards. They're fierce, more fierce than an evening wolf. He says, here, I'm going to set, you think things are bad? I'm going to solve this problem. I got some wicked, nasty people that are going to come and set things right. What? Habakkuk is like saying, the cure is worse than the disease. I know our country's in shambles, but seriously, there's no way that you're going to bring the Babylonians. Why would you do that? They're awful. They're awful people. They're terrible people. I don't understand it. I'm originally from Cleveland. Don't hold that against me. But I'm a big football fan, which means I constantly fight depression. And so, you know, my teams are never winning when I'm a kid. It's like the Browns are always getting beat. And they had twice they had to go to get to the Super Bowl, and the Denver Broncos beat them twice, so they couldn't get to the Super Bowl. And now I live in Denver. It's like, come on, seriously, God. Seriously, I see all that Bronco gear. Oh, okay? And I'm mad. It's like, why? And then all of a sudden, the Browns leave town. It's like, okay, well, at least I'm not depressing. They go to Baltimore, and Baltimore wins the Super Bowl. Are you serious, God? Anybody can win the Super Bowl but the Baltimore Ravens. Anybody. Even, hate to say it, I'd even be happier if, I can't say it. Oh, forget it. I can't even say it. Why, God? Why? Okay? And that's his second complaint. That's his second complaint. It's, God, you're not consistent. You're not consistent. Why is there so much evil? If we're bad, and our country has all this kind of evil, and you're tolerant of it, God, why is there so much evil? You're going to bring the Babylonians. You're bringing a country that has moderate evil going on in front of it, and you're bringing a country that is extremely evil to punish a country that's moderately evil. I don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm going to climb up on the walls here, and I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit here because you owe me an explanation. I thought you're good. This isn't good. You owe me an explanation. And so he's sitting there in chapter 2. He's just sitting there. Wow, I'm trying to complicate this. Why? And all of a sudden, as he's contemplating God, the Lord answers and says in a vision. And we don't have time to get through all the vision, but he basically says this. He says, Hey Habakkuk, I'm going to paraphrase here. Habakkuk, cool your jets. Who do you think you are? And here's his answer. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. The righteous people, they live by faith. Do you think your puny mind can comprehend the complex ways of God? You really think so? You think you can, Habakkuk? Chill out. Take a chill pill. I'm paraphrasing, okay? Take a chill pill here, okay? And understand this. You are not CEO of the universe. Thank you very much. Okay? I like the fact Habakkuk means to embrace. It almost means to embrace in a rigorous way, almost like a wrestler. I like the fact that Habakkuk is really twisting and wrestling with the issues of life. But what's so beautiful about this book is he comes to God with it. Don't you like that? I love that he's going to God. I love a God who can take a punch. Don't you? I don't like a God who wants me to be all proper and sophisticated. Oh, dear God in heaven, holy be... forget that. My life is crazy! Why is it? I love a God who can take a punch. Don't you? Huh? Come to God in your rawness and in your anger. And God says, I'm going to bring the Babylonians. I'm in charge. You just got to trust me. That's your job. That's your job. You just trust me. You just hold on to me. In Cleveland, when I was a kid, a boat sank in the water in Lake Erie. And don't say anything. Okay, and it got stuck because, Lake Erie Shallow got stuck in the mud. It got stuck in the mud, and they brought these cranes out there to try to lift the boat, and they couldn't. It was stuck. And they snapped cables and stuff, and they just couldn't get the boat out. And so they had a dilemma. There was a boat stuck in the mud. And so the simple guy said, I got it. And he came out in the middle of the day, and he had his boat, and he pulled a couple barges, and he put the barge right over the boat. He had these big cables, and he attached the big cables to the boat. He goes, let's go home, boys. They go, you didn't do anything. Yeah, I know. Just let's go home. And what are you going to do? He goes, well, when the tide rises, the barges will go up and it'll lift the boat right out of the mud. He says, all we have to do is just make sure the cables are strong enough to hang on. You just sometimes need to have a belief in God. Take all your consternation, all your anger, all your confusion, and just say, I don't know where to go. I'm going to go to God. I'm going to hold on. And in His time, and in His way. Never our time. And never our way. He'll lift us out of the mud. I tell you this morning that every setback is a setup for a comeback. He said, now be careful. Because when life is crazy and you can't see very well, you'll want to put your trust in other things because you don't think God works. And you do so at your own peril. Because things may seem attractive, but be careful. And he gives them 5 things. I call them trust traps. Trust traps. We'll go through these very quickly for the sake of time. But this is in chapter 2. It's powerful. These are 5 like woes. Whoa, don't do this. Don't do this. Trust traps. Number 1 is wealth. Don't you trust in your wealth. You think your wealth is going to get you? He says, and I don't have time, but he says, all the stuff you're piling up will eventually all fall down on you. 2008. Let's just keep moving, okay? Stuff. Verse 9 and 11, he goes, don't trust in your stuff. It gives you a false sense of security. Let me read what he says. He says, woe to him who covets evil gain for his house, that he may set his nest on high and think he's secure. Does anybody here who's a history buff know who set their nest on high and thought they were secure? Anybody? Help me out. Hey, we're in Cincinnati. We'll go slow. So, I'm just kidding, okay? I know this because I'm reading this with my son. Adolf Hitler. Yeah, don't say you knew it now. No, I'm not buying it. Oh, yeah, I didn't know. No, you didn't. Adolf Hitler, when he was 50 years old, they gave him a present called the Eagle's Nest. I wonder. And when I read that, I go, wow, that's amazing. Sitting up high. Here I am, dominating the world. Yeah, you better be careful, big boy. Because it could all come tumble down. Number 3 is corruption. Corruption. He's saying, woe to him who builds a town, establishes a city with bloodshed. You're on top now, but be careful. Number 4 is perversion. It's really, I wish we could have time. You drink and you give your neighbors drinks and then you do perverse stuff and you think it's cool. You think this is really cool. What you're doing is fun. It is fun. The Bible says when you mess up around for a while, it's fun. It's fun for a season. It's fun for a season. But eventually it comes back to get you. And then number 5 says you trust in yourself. You build idols. You think that you have the answers. And maybe that's the problem, he's saying. You think you have the answers. You're the idol. Anything, man's the answer. And he says, no. The whole theme of this book is mankind, human beings. We're so small in comparison to a great big God. And even if God did explain what's going on in our life during the setbacks, we still wouldn't be able to comprehend it because his ways are so much bigger than ours. And so after hearing this, Habakkuk says this in chapter 2, verse 20. He says this, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silent before him. Oh, it's good. It's good. Sometimes I've seen when I don't keep silent in front of him because I want answers, I shake my fist, you better heal that son of mine. I mean emotionally, the kid is crazy, okay? He'll do something. And I'm just raging at God. Sometimes God, when I'm not silent before him, will bring things in my life to make me silent before him. Are y'all with me? When I was a kid, everybody went to music except me. Because through 3rd through 6th grade, I had a speech impediment. I stuttered. I never volunteered one answer in school. I'm proud of that record, by the way. Okay, all right? Okay? And I didn't because I couldn't talk like, okay, class, music time. Everybody go. Carl. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Carl, you go to the speech therapist. 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. Never took music. By the way, I can sing. Next time I'm here, I want you to have, I can't sing at all. And it was hard. And I cried. And during music time, they would do shows back in the politically incorrect days for Easter and Christmas and all that. And you know what my job was? To put the curtain up and down. Yeah, you're laughing at my pain. I'm not happy about that, okay? Okay? All the parents would come, and here come the stutters. They got their head down. What's your kid doing? He's putting the curtain up. Yeah. Hopefully he does it on time, okay? Yeah, okay? And I couldn't do it. And it was during that time that I didn't have a lot of friends, and I didn't have a lot of things going on in my life, that in my bedroom, I'd pick up my Bible and connect with God. Are y'all with me? Every setback is a setup for a comeback. And I remember when I graduated And I got my first church. And my mom and dad drove from Cleveland to Keokuk, Iowa. You'd only do that because your son's there. That's the only reason you're going. And I got up to speak. And I started speaking. And in the middle of my message, my mom stood up and ran out of the church crying. My dad, who didn't have a clue, he's a steel worker. Is Mom okay? She's better than she's ever been, Dad. And I got out of the church, and my mom just buried her head on my chest and wept like a baby. My mom, a woman of faith, as she buried her head in tears, soaked my shirt, said this: "Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God." For she saw the twist and the turmoil that her son went through when he was in elementary school. And if my mom was alive today, she would stand here and say with more authority than I ever could, every setback is a setup for a comeback. Horizon, are you with me today? You still with me? Okay, good, because we got to finish, all right? So he concludes. He concludes after, and God will do it in His time. And the crazy thing about Habakkuk is the answer that God gives to Habakkuk's dilemma isn't contained in the book of Habakkuk. Are you all with me? Justice isn't going to happen. All the things that he wants are not going to happen. It's not going to come till maybe 650 years later in the form of this person, Jesus Christ, who makes all things right, who will create justice, who will make every bad thing turn into good, because He is the God who can make everything bad. He turns it into good. That's the Jesus Christ, the God of the universe. Just put your hope and trust in Him. And so at the end of the book, he says this: the Lord God, He's my strength. God is my strength. I don't understand everything, but my job isn't to understand. My job is to look up. Take my anger, take my confusion, take all the things I don't know, all my mess ups, take it to God and hold on. I'm stuck in the mud. Hold on, boy. Hold on. I was working in Chicago as a consultant. My mom was in Cleveland. She was dying of cancer. And I got a call early in the morning from my brother. My brother never calls me early in the morning. So I go, oh, this is a bad phone call. And I picked it up. It was in October. It was a month after 9/11. My wife, by the way, is a consultant. She worked in the World Trade Center. Every other week, she would go and be in the World Trade Center. That week for us, thank God she wasn't there. 6 of her team was, 4 got out and 2 never did. And we went to some tough funerals in September. And then in October, I got the phone call from my brother. Carl, Mom passed away this morning. Oh, really? Okay. I said, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm going to run down to work and tell my boss. He already knew what was going on. And so I usually took the train down to downtown Chicago, but this time I drove my car down. It was a month after 9/11. I went to my boss. I says, hey, she didn't make it. I got to go. I got to go. He goes, can you just give me 10 minutes? And I said, okay. And so he went and talked to his partner, and he's a great guy. And I don't know how he'd handle this. I don't know how. I think he did right, but it was hard at the time. 10 minutes later, he walks into my office with his partner. Because I knew since 9/11, our business didn't go down like this. Our business went... And says, I don't know. He said, it'd be cruel for us to do it after the funeral. I don't know, but you could stay here till the end of November, but we can't keep you anymore. Are you serious? I mean, I'm just saying this to myself. And I'm walking out of the building to my car. I never drove my car. And I'm walking, I had tears in my eyes. I go, my mom died and I just lost my job in the same day. How does that happen? And then I get to my car and the window is broken out and the radio stolen. Folks, the car I drove downtown was a Ford Escort. You don't steal a radio from a Ford Escort. You go for the Lexus or the BMW. Are you serious? Seriously, you're going to steal something, not out of a Ford Escort. Okay, and so my window's broken and my radio's gone. Seriously, what a stupid criminal that guy is, all right? Okay, how can you be so dumb? And so it's like, oh, my mom died and I lost my job and then my radio, oh, seriously. So I called up my other brother who's an alcoholic. And every time I come up, I go, hello, I go, what you doing? He says, same time, I should stop saying this. I go, what you doing? He says, and every time he answers, talking to you. Oh, okay, all right. Okay. So I go, hey, what you doing? Talking to you. I go, your mom died? I go, yeah, I did. I'm on my way, but mom died and I've got to get my wife and kids. We got to go back to Cleveland and I lost my job today. I go, and to top it off, I'm standing here in the parking lot and my radio got stolen out of my busted window. And I told my brother, I go, I'm going through hell right now. There was silence on the phone. And then after a while, he said, well, if you're going through hell, don't stop. Hey, that's pretty good right there. That's good for a sober guy. I mean, for a drunk, that's fantastic. It's like, wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I needed. I'm not going to stop, baby. I'm not going to stop. And sometimes when life has got you wrapped around the axle, sometimes you got to remember the Lord's my strength. There's nothing else I can hold on to. I got to keep going. I got to put one foot in front of the other. I don't know if I have the strength to do it. People have no idea what kind of deficit I'm working under. People have no idea what it costs to be me. People have no idea the scars and the wounds that I'm carrying. They have no idea. But sometimes I just got to put one step in front of the other. Are you all with me today? So let me close with a few observations and then we'll go home and have a good lunch. Okay? All right. I'm going to give you 3. Okay? I have 7. But Chad said, no, we got another service after this, so it's all right. Whatever. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. He'll get his. Okay. Next time you come to our church, 15 minutes, buddy. That's it. Okay. All right. Okay. Have I just lost it, really, huh? This, by the way, will be my last time at Horizon. It's been really good. It's been good being here. Okay. I want to give you 2 observations. Number one, you don't need anything. You don't need anything you lost to bless you. Are you hearing me? I have a daddy growing up. Yeah. Well, you know my mom. Yeah. But you know my ex did. Yeah. Here's what I want you to know. God is going to squeeze us to the point that we don't hang on to anything but Him to bless us. I meet way too many people who bemoan what they've lost in life, and they live as victims. And I want you to know today, and I say this with a lot of sensitivity. I do not want to minimize the pain some people are here in, but I do want to say this to you. You don't need anything you lost to bless you. If God took it away from you, it's because his setback is a setup for a comeback. He's got something that He can replace it. Let's just say we're not going to sit around and bemoan the stuff that we've lost. Number 2, when you're stuck, always go to something bigger than yourself. That's good. That's good right there. If you folks won't say it, I'll say it. That's really good. That's good. That's good. Okay, because sometimes when I'm stuck, and I go to my friends, or I go to my wife, or I go to my job, or I go to other places that I don't want to say. But here's what I say. Maybe that's our problem in life. When we're defeated, we're giving ourselves wholly to something that's too small to hold us. God's got something bigger. Don't go to something puny to hold you. God's got big plans for you. He's got big plans. Go to something bigger than yourself. And number 3, it's just really a corollary of number 2, but I like the way it's phrased. Immerse yourself beyond yourself to redefine yourself. That's good too. Immerse yourself beyond yourself. See, here's the problem. When life comes at me with so much complexity, and at the age of 61, my life looks nothing like I thought it would be. Nothing. Nothing. Looks really different. Wow. And I could get depressed about that. And I get really discouraged about that. But, and I've seen people, when life is so hard and it squeezes them, they get bitter and angry, and they get stuck in grief. They get stuck in anger, stuck in grief, and it just becomes, their life just becomes almost a living hell on earth. And here's what the message of Habakkuk says. Immerse yourself beyond yourself to redefine yourself. Because when life is heavy, God is working in your life. God is working in your life. Hey, little chick, look up. Look up. Hang on and look up. Because God's got some big things that's going to happen in your life if you put your hope in Him. So, many years ago, in closing, I went and heard this woman speak. She came out in a wheelchair. I go, oh, that's interesting. She talked about her life. She was raised out in Maryland. She had horses. And she loved to ride with her sister. And one night, she could smell something, and she heard something. It was the horses, and she looked out her window, and the barn was on fire. And they went downstairs as a family, and they tried to save the barn and save the horses, but the fire had gone too far. And so they had to stay there and smell the burning flesh of the horses. And the girls were standing there holding the hands of their arthritic father, who looked down at his girls and said, girls, this isn't going to stop us. We're going to build another barn. This is not the end. We're going to build another barn. And so he built another barn, bigger and better than the next one. They put some horses in it. And on a hot summer day in Maryland, the sisters got on and they rode to a place, and there was a little pond. There was a little pond out there. And they go, hey, there's a platform out in the pond. And so they swam out to the pond. And one sister beat her sister, hopped on the platform of the pond and dove in. And bam! Her head hit the ground. The bottom of the lake. And the next time she would wake up and be conscious, she'd be in a hospital bed paralyzed from the neck down. Her friends would come to see her, and they would look at her, and they would leave. They couldn't take the look. Her head was shaved. Her eyes were sunken black. It was just awful. Finally, a friend came in, and she wouldn't leave. She said, I'm going to stay here. And she talked to her, and the girl on the bed says, put a mirror in front of me. She goes, I won't do that. She goes, put a mirror. Put a mirror in front. I want to see what I look like. And so her friend put a mirror in front of her, and she looked in the mirror. She looked at her friend. She goes, if you cared about me, you'd kill me. If you cared about me, you'd kill me right now. I have no hope. And her friend says, no, I won't do that. Because there's a God. There's a God who I have no answers, but He does. And sometimes when you're flat on your back, the only place to look is up. And her name, you know her, Johnny Erickson, said in that hospital bed she looked up. And she said, God, this makes no sense, but if you're out there, help me understand. And now she speaks. When I watched her speak, they wheeled her in a wheelchair. And she came and she painted this most magnificent painting with her mouth. And she told all of us there, she goes, I'm like the old barn. Don't feel sorry for this body. This body is the old barn that is burned down. But now I'm in a new barn, and I'm a happier person because every setback is a setup for a comeback. And when you immerse yourself in something that's greater than yourself, then you have the potential to redefine yourself. That's the message of Habakkuk. Okay? Which means that no matter what you're going through today, there's hope in your world if you set your sights above. Let's all stand together. And let's close by asking God to help us. Father, thank you for these amazing people that I have the privilege to stand in front and talk to. Oh, we all look good on the outside. But on the inside, all of us are wrestling with demons and habits and wounds and scars. Thank you. Thank you that doesn't define us. Thank you that you're a God who could turn our scars into stars. So today, whatever we're going through, may we always realize, no matter how dark, how daunting the situation may be, that there's a God above who loves us. I pray for all of us, no matter where we are, no matter what's going on in our life, that you'll give us the courage to look up and find our hope and strength. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for having me.